Yeah, that's working. That is working really well. Hardware trim, you say? Well, look at this. The Moza Force Feedback Yoke has got full hardware trim capability now. And I'm going to showcase this in mixed reality in the Quest 3. But before that, I'm going to show you a new product by Moza, because they are absolutely killing it right now in the flight simulation genre. So, for today's video, it's going to be twofold, but the first thing I'm going to show, as I say, is the new MTLP panel, which bolts perfectly onto the quadrant that you can also get, which I've shown on the channel already, and I'll link my review in the notes below. So, as we have a look at this, it's the usual very nice Moza quality with beautiful metal switches that you have to pull out, such as the anti-skid and the hook, as well as the realistic parking brake and the landing gear. It's all modelled exactly as it would be on a real F-18 Hornet. But make no mistake, you don't need to just fly this with an F-18. This is the perfect panel for lots of different fighter aircraft, and you can even use it for GA if you want to. But I think you'll agree these close-up shots here really showcase the absolute fantastic quality of this panel, which can be used separately or with the full throttle quadrant. Now, the panel itself is about £150 in the UK, and if you want to use it with the NTP throttle, that's around £330. But the magic here is in the built-in vibration feedback, which really enhances the immersion, because you can almost feel the wings of your aircraft straining under the pressure of the high G maneuvers. Now, at the moment, my opinion is that the DCS wheel for some reason feels better, but it's only a matter of time before Moza get their software in order. And I've got a full review of the throttle quadrant itself in DCS World. I'll link it in the notes below. Anyway, that's enough waffle. Let's see it in action using virtual desktop mixed reality. Here we go. So we're going to turn on the APU and the battery and get this aircraft fired up for a low-level flight over Loch Ness in Scotland. Time to crank those engines. You can see here that I've got a great view cut out using the Quest 3 mixed reality. Very nice feature, and it means I don't have to miss out on all those beautiful lights, and just the look and feel of this quadrant is absolutely right up there with the best. And I'm just going to speed this up a little bit. I did also crank the left engine, and now I'm going to show you the tail hook, which goes down perfectly there, and you have to push the tail hook out and then down just like the real thing. Now, the MTLP has 25 programmable switch signals, which provides just a crazy amount of options and critical aircraft functions, ensuring that you really get all of those bindings dialed in. And if you're a DCS world lover, you know for a fact you need all the bindings and switches you can get. I do like, again, how this has precision engineering Hall effect sensors in the landing gear and the tail hook to deliver a very smooth and precise feel, but that also means this should last a very long time. Right, so making sure the launch bar is retracted, flaps are set to auto, anti-skid, we're just going to switch that on for the purpose of this video, because you can see here the real and virtual switch are just exactly the same, and you have to sort of push it up and over the gate almost. Feels really premium. But now hold on to your hats, because it's time for takeoff, and the massive throw of that lever as you push it fully forward, and the vibration you feel as well. It is incredibly immersive. Right then, feeling the rumbles and bumps as we go down the runway. Bit of a sprawly takeoff there, and into the external view for a beautiful roll and out towards Loch Ness. So I just thought I'd show you one more time the tail hook. So I'm just going to look left now at my mixed reality pass-through, and down it goes. There's something about feeling the real lever in your hand in VR, especially when you're in the cockpit. It just feels uncanny. The first time I ever experienced that was with the Authenticate Spitfire Spade Grip, and having the exact hardware that you can feel but look at in VR is exceptionally immersive. It really is. Now, just to say that Moza did send out this panel for review purposes, but not everything is perfect, and I'll tell you the whole story as you come to expect from this channel, and there are a few negatives that I've got to mention. The first and main one for me is because this particular panel, especially with the throttle quadrant, has absolutely tons of switches, and none of them are automatically assigned into any of the sims, that is DCS World, MSFS 2020-2024. So you have to go through the entire switch panel yourself and bind it all. I find that a little bit of a nuisance, to say the least, and it took me quite a while, about, well, over an hour, to bind all the switches, and I'm quite good with this kind of thing, and I'm wondering, someone who is not quite so confident to be able to do all of that, they're going to really struggle. So I really hope that Moza can add some presets and make sure that they can work with a Sobo perhaps to get this throttle quadrant registered and recognised in the default sim, so at least you have a profile that you can use. Because as soon as you plug it in, well, at the moment it's not even named in the software, which I'm sure will be fixed because I am running beta software, but I really hope that Moza can knuckle down and get that sorted out, because if it's plug and play, this is going to really enhance the overall enjoyment of this device. Also, as I say, most of the switches are very premium and metal, but there's a couple of, cheaper areas, such as the tail hook and landing gear is plastic, which actually feels a bit strange considering the rest of the quadrant is very high quality. But if you compare it to the competition and for the overall quality of the device, it's actually very, very good value for money. And I think the only other thing is that I feel that the feedback, that is the haptic vibration, is just not strong enough at the moment, and I think hopefully over time, once again, that will be improved. Right, I think it's now time for the shenanigans to stop and for us to get back to Inverness, because I want to show you something else which is incredibly exciting, because the Force Feedback Moza Yoke has had a huge update, and the one thing that I did moan about has been fixed: hardware trim. So let's go check it out. Right folks, so for this part of the video I'm going to show you the hardware trim. Now at the moment I'm in the Quest 3 and you can see this beautiful throttle panel here all lit up, but I'm just going to show you how to change your MR window. It's very easy. You come down to Input, select Close Desk Portal, you can then drag it over to this side here, and hopefully you can now see a nice big picture of my yoke. And there we go, we can go straight into VR. So we'll just get rid of that window, and then we'll just enable VR, and there we go, we're in VR, and let's go flying. So my main complaint about the Moza yoke was always the lack of hardware trim. Everything else about the yoke, mainly, I've been really impressed with, including its smoothness. It's way smoother than this LS60. But let's just see now if we can feel the trim forces being relieved. That's so important, something that's very realistic if it can be achieved, because that's how it feels in the real aircraft. Right, so I'm feeling, see the weight here, I want to trim that back. So here we go, trimming now. And yeah, that's working. That is working really well. Like now I'm completely steady at 700 feet per minute. That's how accurate I can be. Right, let me just put the flaps up. There we go. Feel that as well, by the way, all the flat vibration and everything else, because the general force feedback of the yoke now feels a lot more realistic. Things like bumps, turbulence. So yeah, moving from side to side, that's something I've always loved about this yoke, is even tiny movements, I don't feel any cogging like I do with this LS60. So that's a major draw here. But let's just again trim up. That's excellent. That is excellent. It's actually more subtle, and you can be more accurate with the trim. It doesn't move out so in larger increments like this LS60 either, so that's nice. Just messing around here, folks. Right, let's just get some speed on here. I know we're only in a 172, but we'll do our best. So as I'm feeling the pressure build up now, as I'm pushing back, well, yeah, back on the yoke here, I want to trim out some of those forces. That's working really well. The thing is, you can't really see it so much on the image here. I mean, you know, it's very subtle, but it doesn't have to be massive movements. In fact, the smaller the better. That's excellent. Well, gotta say, Moza, you've absolutely nailed this. And this yoke now is a fully featured force feedback yoke that gives... Oh, hang on. Thank you very much. I was going to say, that gives the competition a bloody nose. That's for sure. Now I can feel now the forces. It's a little bit harder to turn. Not a massive amount, because it is a 172 after all, but I can feel that it's just a little bit sort of... Yeah, you can really feel the pressure of the air. That's brilliant. Now at the moment, this hardware trim feature is only available on the default aircraft, but over time, hopefully soon, it will be rolled out to third-party aircraft. And imagine this, say, in the H2 Comanche. That'd be awesome. In terms of the store characteristics, you can get this to shake quite violently, but I don't think I've got it. It's shaking, but not a massive amount there. I would do a spin, folks, but I am in a motion rig and I've got my phone on my lap. It will just go flying, so that's not a good idea. But overall, yeah, I really do like how they've implemented this, and hopefully it'll just get better over time. Look, you see that? Look, I'm actually controlling my pitch just by using the trim. See? You see it's moving its way out again? I'm not doing that with my hand. That's the trim doing that. Look. Hopefully that shows quite well there on the camera, because I am being moved around here. I'm going up and down in a motion rig. Trying to keep things stable. So what does this mean really? Well, I've got to be honest, folks. I do love the SIL S60, but now this has got hardware trim and all these really nice buttons and switches. There's less cogging as well. I just love the look of it. You've got a lot more buttons and bindings. You've got your hat switches. This is now my favourite force feedback yoke. It beats the SIL S60. Well done, Moza. That is quite an achievement, let me tell you. Fantastic stuff. Anyway, folks, that will do for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.